Coming up at 11, employees at 2 stores are accused of selling mislabeled and misbranded vape pens to teenagers. More on what Prestonsburg police are doing about it.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Olivia Calfee. Employees at 2 stores are accused of selling mislabeled and misbranded vape pens to teenagers. Prestonsburg police say they received 5 reports of teens showing overdose-like symptoms that required medical attention after using vapes. Kimberly Keggy shares how officers say they're cracking down on the illegal sale of vapes to protect children.
Employees of 2 smoke shops are accused of selling mislabeled vape pens to teens. Prestonsburg police reported 5 incidents of teens showing overdose-like symptoms in October. Officers say the common factor, each time a teen was using an electronic vape pen. Federal and state law sets the age to 21 to vape. But during a control buy, officers say an area smoke shop repeatedly sold to children under police surveillance.
Kids that don't even have their driver's licenses are able to walk into some of these stores, were able to walk into some of these stores and buy product that on its face was illegal for them to buy, let alone product that was not in any way, shape, or form or fashion was what it said it was.
Since that investigation opened in October, the 2 smoke shops' business licenses were revoked. Prestonsburg Police Chief Ross Shurtleff, though, telling me they have since reopened under a new operating license, but no longer hold the license to sell products containing THC.
We're basically going to run these shops the same way we do a liquor store. You have to have a license, you have to get inspected.
Cracking down on the dangers hidden in plain sight to protect teens.
If they start getting in the hands of minors and of kids who don't know what they're doing, that's the battle that we're waging, and we are going to wage it. We are not going to tolerate it. We're not going to put up with it.
Kimberly Keggy, WSAZ News Channel 3, Prestonsburg.
New this evening, the London Police Department is investigating a deadly crash. Officials say the crash happened Wednesday evening on I-75 on the southbound exit 41 ramp. No other details were released, but we will continue to update the story on the WYMT News app.
We are tracking some calm and cold weather across the mountains on this Wednesday night. Some of us already in the 20s on the temperature map at this hour, down to 29 for Manchester, 28 in Clintwood, also Grundy, 32 in Pikeville, 33 over in Jackson at this hour. So we are tracking some cold weather, also some dry and clearing weather on the radar as high pressure begins to take over. So the forecast is pretty calm as you wake up on Thursday. Low temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s as that clearing trend also continues. And a fantastic Thursday is on the way as we stay dry under some sunshine. Those temperatures also warming up into the upper 40s and lower 50s, and be sure to soak up the sunshine tomorrow because another strong weather system is on the way by Friday. We could see some more gusty winds, also some more heavy rainfall and some really cold weather as we go into early next week. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Olivia?
Cameron, thank you. A Corbin man says he may be forced to close his business because of road construction, and he says he's not the only business owner who will be affected. Grayson Passmore tells us why he says the road work is impacting him financially.
We took a chance, stepped out to start our own.
Badwoods Outdoors has become a Corbin staple.
That was my passion growing up. And, it's also my family's.
Earl Jones, his wife Rita, and their son Dalton built the family-run business years ago.
They've worked their entire lives, spending hours after hours, working as hard as they can, only to have it taken away.
Jones fears they may soon lose everything they worked for. Jones's attorney, Stephen Bing, says the family was notified in 2022 that the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet would be widening US 25 West, along where the business sits. Bing says they were told a concrete wall would need to be built in front of the businesses along the route, which crews started work on this week. He says they were also told a road providing back access to the store for customers and employees would be built first, something they've yet to see.
And as it stands right now, in the back, they have basically a mud hole instead of a road, and they're putting a concrete wall up all the way in front of their business. There's no way in, and it's impacting their day-to-day operations, and it's effectively ruining their business.
Jones says it's the business's location right off of 75 that makes it so appealing for many of their customers. But he says it's clear now that with this construction going on in their front parking lot, that most of these customers won't bother to stop anymore.
You know, it's a shame. Earl and Rita, it's a locally owned family business. They've put their life savings into this place.
Bing says the state's using eminent domain to complete the project, turning the private property into public use, which legally he says they can do with payment compensation and by providing access to the property. It's the lack of access that he fears could close the Joneses store.
It's a nightmare. You still have bills coming due, you still got to pay for them, and there's no income.
In Corbin, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
We have reached out to KYTC for more answers. We are still waiting for a response at this time. Several organizations are working to provide relief for the city of Neon and surrounding communities following a water outage. Organizations partnered to give out hot meals, water, and financial aid. Apple Shop film director Willa Johnson says this is not the first time the community has had to battle this issue.
In McRoberts, when I was in middle school, this happened at one point where we went weeks, maybe a month without water. The National Guard was called in. So I think we've always had an issue with the infrastructure aging. Pair that with the drought, pair that with the pipes and lines busting post-flood. It just seems to have made a perfect storm.
Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency for the city of Fleming Neon. The Floyd County Animal Shelter is preparing for what officials say is a much-needed expansion. The shelter has been raising money to build a new facility across from its current space, with hopes to bring in at least $500,000 for the project. Site work on the new space began on the abandoned mineland property, which officials hope is a sign that they will be ready to build soon.
You know, the good news is we have wonderful networks. A lot of our pets adopted out. The bad news is we have a dilapidated shelter and we're at capacity. And hopefully when we get a new and bigger shelter, we won't have this problem.
The ongoing site work is being funded by an abandoned mine land grant. The organization in charge of the facility has currently raised $300,000 of the $500,000 needed for the expansion. Families with kids in diapers may appreciate a new Senate bill that was proposed in Frankfort on Monday. The bill would eliminate the sales tax on diapers in Kentucky. Officials with LKLP say that if this is passed, it would relieve some of the financial burden on low-income families with small children.
You know, I hate to say this, but we all know it happens. A lot of people won't change a child as much because of the cost of diapers, pull-ups, and etc. I think this would help. This would help sanitary-wise. This would help with sickness. This would help with a lot of stuff just by a little bit of sales tax.
Napier adds that it would be extremely beneficial to families with more than one child in diapers. And on to another bill. This one proposing a constitutional amendment is moving through the General Assembly. It is Senate Bill 10, which would propose to move the constitutional office elections to the same year as the presidential race, starting in 8 years. But voters will have to approve this issue since it changes the state constitution. Senator Christian McDaniel says he has pushed this bill time and time again.
What this will do is dramatically increase the number of voters who participate in a constitutional election year. The reality is we need to improve the participation in our democracy.
If placed on the ballot, the question will ask voters if they are in favor of amending Section 95 of the state constitution to hold the election of all statewide constitutional officers in even-numbered years after the November 2027 election. This means the bill would not go into effect until 2032. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, Chris Christie has ended his campaign for presidency, and a heated debate between two other GOP candidates took place in Iowa.
And sunshine is set to return tomorrow. Your Thursday forecast after this break.